Society Matters.
Hello, and thank you for joining me today. I'm one of your co-hosts, Carin Bail, and I'm here with Sami Steigmann, Holocaust survivor and child of Holocaust survivors. This podcast is a production of the Holocaust Memorial and Tolerance Center of Nassau County, and we're talking today all about the children. So on this episode of All About the Children on hmTv, I'm here with Sami, and we're going to just start talking about topics that might make folks a little bit uncomfortable, but are extremely important because we have to listen to what's happening and we have to notice what's going on with the children around us because our next generation is super important. This generation right now, I'm not sure if you guys know this, I learned this last week, is not going to surpass the generation that exists now, which is for the first time in history, very scary. Because each generation should surpass, should outsmart, should make more money, should be more productive, and we're not. And it's quite scary, and it's because of what's happened in education.
My name is Sami Steigmann. I am a Holocaust survivor, child of Holocaust survivors, which means both of my parents survived. I'm an educator, motivational speaker. I served in the Israeli Air Force, 1960 to 1965. And I also became recently a Hollywood movie star in a movie called Eleanor the Great, directed by Scarlett Johansson.
And I have to tell you, I saw that movie on the airplane. And it was a really beautiful movie. And I felt like really cool because I knew one of the stars in the show. Usually that doesn't happen for me. So yeah, I just want to say thank you for doing this with me first to start, because I feel like I manifested this wish come true, and you are like a dream. I met you only a few months ago. It feels like, I know you for a long time, or at least I asked you questions like I know you for a long time. And I don't know, there's something about your energy. There's something about, your smile. Whenever I go and I listen to you speak, the same message that I just keep hearing is always a positive one, and I speak to a lot of people on a regular basis, and some who may even have an 8 in front of their age, and they're not as happy as you. And despite you had so many traumas and trials and tribulations in your life, and you still smile. You still pick up the phone, say hello to everybody. How do you do it? Because not a lot of people have the capability or the willingness to do it.
I have a quality that very few people have, and I can compartmentalize. Normally for me, I take negatives and I turn into something positive always, and I will give you examples. But for me, I don't dwell on the past. I learn from it, I try not to make, haven't been always successful, not to make the same mistake twice, and I always move forward. When I mean taking a negative and putting it into something positive, is you will learn more about me, the trials that I went through. But to give an example, I was homeless. I live under the poverty line. And when I give my presentations to students, the campuses, organizations, different groups, I always say I don't have the best of everything, but I make the best of everything I have. And everything starts here.
So it sounds like your mindset is really what helps kind of put you in that direction, because you don't allow any of the circumstances that happen to you, which is very different than the way most people operate, because most people look to blame anybody. Not that the blame helps find a solution, but it's easy just to blame somebody.
Right.
So you don't blame anybody for your circumstances.
I don't have that need.
And despite that, you continue. So I'm very curious about the way that you advertise yourself, because like I told you, and I didn't want to sound like I insulted you, but I really never heard of you until a few months ago. And then when I told you that, you said, you never heard of me?
I don't promote myself.
You don't. But every time I talk to somebody, they know who you are now.
Well, because there were some things that happened that made me become very, very popular.
Okay.
One of the things, I don't know if you heard of Zach Sage Fox.
I have.
He is a comedian. He has his own podcast, a filmmaker, interviews people on the street. And he decided to take me, to Washington Square Park.
Okay.
And his job was to interview Holocaust deniers, Gen Z, and people from Arab countries, and to find out how they feel about what's happening in Gaza.
Okay.
He did it a second time, and that what he did for me, it was the first time that he brought also a Nova survivor. And instead of interviewing each other separately, is what we are doing today, and we started to interview one another, and it went extremely well. So the first one got 2.8 million viewers.
Wow.
The second one with the Nova guy, that got 2.1 million. So that was, because he has the podcast and everything else, he made me very, very, very popular. Interesting enough, one of the things that I remember that was very meaningful to me is we use words, but they mean different things to different people, depending on our background, where you grew up, the country, many things. And he interviewed a woman in the mid-late 30s from Pakistan. And coming from an Arab country, Muslim country, he asked her what her feeling is about the war in the Middle East. And she said, everything is genocide. No matter in which direction he went, genocide, genocide, genocide. He turned to me and he said, I brought here a Holocaust survivor and somebody that served in the IDF. She looked at me and she said, you are part of the problem. And I have been in the United States since 1968. So it shows what indoctrination really means. A lot of people use words, they don't know the full meaning. And that's why one of the things that my personal goal is to talk to very young people before they are indoctrinated. Because once somebody is indoctrinated, it's almost impossible to bring him to critical thinking.
I mean, there are so many directions that I want to go now based off of what you said. But yes, indoctrination. I mean, I am a teacher. That could be for another episode. We could talk all about that. But there was something that you mentioned that I wanted to, I'm like, now and I'm losing it. That's all right. It'll come to me after. This is the perimenopause. That's fun. That we could talk about too on another episode. So when you spoke to this person, I'm just curious. So now this woman starts saying genocide, genocide, it's your fault. There's no point in talking to somebody like that because they're not going to even hear you, let alone listen, correct?
Correct.
So what do you do in that instance? Did you walk away?
Well, as a matter of fact, I did not walk away. She walked away.
She walked away.
She walked away, which is fine. Okay.
The thing you said...
I am not trying to change anybody.
No,
I cannot change anybody. I can change only somebody's perspective. So for me, I look at one person at a time. Every person, regardless of age, makes a difference in somebody's life.
I completely agree. And all it takes is one person.
Right. So whatever else accomplished, that is wonderful. Now, one of the things that you started to say, and then I will ask you questions.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, no, I remember now. It was about words.
Yes.
The thing that I've noticed a lot lately is our words are being weaponized against us a lot. And remember earlier when we were talking about double standards?
Yes.
This is where I find that I get very confused and things don't make sense. For every other community, certain things are not tolerated. But when it comes to the Jewish community, it's a different story.
Yes.
Our words are being used against us. All of these things that I'm seeing happening in education are very scary, because as a parent and as an educator for the last 25 years, I've seen the way the school has shifted into a different way of thinking. And the thing that I ask myself all the time are these two questions when it comes to these curriculum changes and these moves. One is, how does this help our children learn to read? But second, how does it help them think critically? And it doesn't, because what you said about perspective, we're not giving people an opportunity to see perspective anymore. We have one narrative that we're kind of pushing depending on where we are, is what I've observed. And we're making it really hard for children to be able to look at two views and to think critically. And I feel worried for them because they're not growing up with the same kind of exposure that we're having. They're getting only one side. And then they have these devices that feed you exactly what you keep on seeing. Right. So it doesn't give you other perspectives. So it's kind of scary. And everybody's got the phone, so everybody's really taking their news from places that are not 100% accurate. So...
Well, that's why I start with a very young age,
okay.
4th graders. I have spoken to 3rd graders, to 2nd graders, to 1st graders.
Okay.
But when they're very, very young, I don't talk about the Holocaust.
No.
So I talk about bullying, hate, for them to understand, and I bring it to their level. But I don't talk to them like being children. I talk to them in an adult way, but with words that they can understand. So I gear it to their level. Like I said before, my main goal is to educate the young generation. They have to learn from the past, not to make comparisons. Things were different. Technology is different. Attitudes are different. But I wanted to learn from the past to see the signs of today that could lead to other tragedies. And everything started with words and bullying. And you can bully a person, you can bully a group of people. And at the same time, I do not like the word anti-Semitism.
No.
Anti-Semitism, everybody knows it refers to the Jewish people. But it can be used as another form of hate. And I can hate people for many reasons. I don't like their eyes, the way they talk, the way they're dressed, the way, the language. When it comes to Jew hatred, it is very specific. And Jew hatred is 4,000 years old. And we have to change the narrative from a negative one to a positive one. Yes. So for me, anti-Semitism, because it has been used throughout the ages, and it's not ingrained. For me, it's a negative word. Okay. And I want to be more specific, and I want to change it to something positive and call it Jew hatred. So there are many ways. What I wanted to tell you is everything starts with the way you think.
Yep.
And I used to compare the mind with a computer. Whatever you put in, it stays there. If you think positively, you will use positive words, you will have a positive attitude, positive experiences, a happier life. You think negatively, that's exactly what it will happen.
Very true.
So very seldom will I use negative words. And if I catch myself using it, then I automatically will correct myself.
Wow.
And that becomes part of second nature and everything else. But I want to ask you something.
Oh, boy.
I am here.
Yeah.
Because you wanted to do it. So my question, what was the impulse, the thinking for you to have your own podcast?
Truthfully, I never thought that I should have a podcast or that I should do any of these things. I was a teacher and I was very happy in my little life. But I think that I have an ability to connect with children and to speak a language with them that not many people have that ability to. And I started noticing that in my teaching, I needed to do something bigger. I don't know. People have said to me over the years, I should have a show. I should have a podcast. I should speak, I should speak. And I'm like, about what? And they're like, anything, just speak. And I don't know. I started to tell you my story. We met and
The audience does not know.
so Sami and I met. So I'm not going to use anti-Semitism. It's funny you say that because I don't really like anti-Semitism either. I mean, I don't like it, obviously, but even the term. And I don't even like saying Jew hatred because there's something about using the word Jew instead of Jewish. So I try to, when I speak, also I notice it's like this hatred towards the Jewish community. And I'm trying to also rephrase because the words that we use do have a lot of meaning and a lot of power. And like you said, that when you catch yourself saying something negative, you reframe it. And by doing that, you actually are changing the brain pathways to tell yourself like that kind of talk is not acceptable in your body and you don't allow it anymore. And imagine if we all had just a little bit of that inside of us, how much kinder we would be, not just to ourselves, right? But to everybody else. So back to why I wanted to do this. I don't know. I just want to talk. I met you. I think God gave me a gift. Really, I do. I don't know. It was like I asked for you and there you were. I don't know.
Okay.
I feel very blessed. Who knows what will come of it? You know, maybe we just sit here and we talk and we just share stories and who knows, maybe you become the next producer of I don't know, something, right? Where you get to share more.
Okay.
Because like I said, a lot of my parents are also getting up there in age and I don't see my parents being as positive. I hang out with also a lot of people. I'm very involved in local civics, a lot of government. It ends up being a lot of seniors that go to these events that have the time. Those people are not as positive as you. You have an energy about you and like an aura that is just very positive and it shines very bright. And we need more of that in the world. So, and you said yes. That's why we're here, because you said yes. You could have said no. Right? I mean,
the other question that I would like to ask you is tell me more about, especially to the audience, okay, about yourself, who you are, what your goals are.
So my name is Carin with a C, right? Isn't that funny? Sometimes when my students learn that I'm either Jewish or my name is Carin, they kind of look at me like, what? You're Jewish and your name is Carin? I'm like, I don't understand. Is there a problem with that? And then they explain to me what the problems are that they've learned. And again, they're children. So it seems like they're just repeating things that they've heard. I don't know. I've been an educator my whole life. I've always loved being around children. And I love
grade?
Always elementary school, but I mostly worked with early childhood, kindergarten, first grade, the little kids. And I love teaching reading, most especially. So I was a literacy coach for many years and I taught as a classroom teacher and I always...
You also performed a book that you wrote, didn't you?
I did. And then I decided I don't think teaching is for me, not because of the children, but because of the bureaucracy. Too many people want to make these decisions that I don't think are in the best interest of the children, but it's the system. So yes, my friend and I, we decided to write a children's book. We tried to do a show before we wrote the children's book, but that was hard. And then COVID, I don't even like that C word. And again, I don't know how to market myself. I don't know how to, sell myself and do this.
Just be yourself.
Just be yourself. But there's this whole world out there, right? So I went back to teaching.
It's a conversation, but people have to know you and they have to know me. And then you can talk about other people.
But I just, like I was telling you earlier, I want to be who I needed when I was younger.
What does it mean by that? What do you mean by that?
A person for young people that I don't want to say can look up to, but maybe can look up to, that embodies like positive characteristics and that inspires them and helps them believe in themselves and to not be afraid. Because the world is moving very quickly. And the children have too much access today. I know that you don't like to say about the technology, and I know that when I was small, all the same things existed. But as a parent and as a teacher, watching what's been happening with the children over the last 2 or 3 decades and what technology has done, because I'm about connection. I don't want to do a Zoom. I want to sit here with you. I want to touch you. I want to hold your hand. I want to feel your energy. You can't do that in the Zoom room. And that space, is what a lot of people do when they disconnect and they use these devices. And you can sit there and get wrapped up in it. I ask my students, raise your hand. How many of you, and I ask them, how many of your parents let you take your iPad to sleep? And they all raised their hand. And I said, you go to bed with your iPad? Like you're allowed to look at your iPad when you go into your bed? And they said, yes. And to me, that breaks my heart because that's a terrible thing to take to bed with you, your iPad. I tell them, I would take your iPad and throw it in the lake. No, Miss Bail, don't do that. I said, but look, when there's no iPad, think about how much happier we are. And they don't see it because they're small. And now people are starting to wake up to the realization that this technology is like what the 70s, the cigarettes were in the 70s. You wouldn't give your kids cigarettes, but it was very glamorized. Everybody wanted to smoke. Now, you know what's on a pack of cigarettes? I saw the other day. I mean, I don't smoke, so I don't know. You have a picture. One is on the box of cigarettes of the black lungs. Another one is like with a child. And I'm like, this is what they advertise on cigarettes, and people buy them. So I don't know. Now I'm going all off on my 12 little tangents. But ultimately, I think that the thing that connects you and I is that despite whatever circumstances we may or may not have had to deal with, and I'm not going to compare myself, but I think that you had a couple of more traumatic things go on in your life. You don't let that define who you are.
No. Okay, so let me tell a little bit about myself.
Okay, but hold on before you do that, because I know we have 2 minutes left of this episode, and I want to hear more about you.
Okay.
Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to speak?
At my age, I'll try anything. I probably would have not done it when I was young, but right now...
But this is not even your first podcast. Oh my God, like I thought that you and I together would be doing this. Then I find out driving here in the car, you're on another podcast. You're going to get an award for a podcast.
Well, it was only nominated, so I don't know. But I was not a co-host, let's put it that way.
Oh.
Okay, so somebody interviewed me.
Okay.
So what I wanted to say that because the time is getting short, I want to thank all our the audience, people that are listening, watching this particular podcast. It's just the beginning. It's a start. And I want to leave it in a very positive way. Be yourself. Believe in yourselves. And believe that you can make a difference in this world. And let's hope that the next generation will make it a better, more compelling, more compassionate world and less hate.
Amen. Amen to that.
As a Holocaust survivor, because I was only a year and a half, I was subjected to medical experiments. I felt them, feel them, and will feel them for the rest of my life. At the same time, a German woman saved my life. In the next podcast, in the next segment, I will talk more about it. Okay, so I want the young people not to stereotype. And I also want the young people to learn from the past. The Holocaust for me is just the background. I don't dwell on it. I will talk about it, what happened to me, to my parents, but I don't dwell on it. For me, it is how did it happen? Nothing starts, from nothing, and what led to the Holocaust. By learning from the past, we will be able to prevent future tragedies. That is part of the problem, that a lot of things are happening, and they look what's happening today without knowing, what happened in the past. And that's why they become polarized, and that's why I become indoctrinated.
Well, I think two things that are happening. One is the facts that people are being taught. Who knows if they're facts? I mean, I hate to say it in that way, but as somebody who, knows a little bit about education, and here is not going to be the opportunity for me to throw anybody under the bus, although people can infer what they want. There's no transparency in curriculum. So if your buddy is in charge of the school system and, you write a curriculum and you want to do something to help your friend, and now they buy your curriculum, let's just say, and I'm not saying this happens, but hypothetically, right? Nobody checks to see that curriculum is actually factual. There are inaccuracies in a lot of the curriculum. So my question is always, who vetted this curriculum? I'm a parent. I want to know, if you're going to teach this information to my children, how do I know that it's quality information? And why don't I have access to it as a parent? It makes me wonder, why don't I have access as a parent? If I want to go on the internet and see what my kid is learning, I can't find out. And I am a parent in the largest school system in the entire country. Isn't that amazing? Thank you for tuning in to this episode of All About the Children on hmTv. And I really appreciate you, Sami Steigmann, for coming on and for sharing some of your insights about things that have happened. And I really look forward to hearing more about what you do and what your mission is, and how your goal is to really help educate our next generation. And I look forward to our continued partnership. And if you enjoyed exploring the information that you heard today in history, be sure to check out other podcasts on hmTv. You can subscribe and share and stay connected for more engaging conversations. And until next time, take care and be well.